Brothers thing.
Hey,
That's
we're
so
live
cool.
now.
So,
And Kyle's not here.
Oh, we're live.
Are we live? I don't know.
It appears
says
It
live.
says we're live.
It says we're
But
live.
Kyle's just gone. All right. Guys,
You can't be in it.
We're sorry. We've had a bunch of technical difficulties, but I think we're live, and I'm not 100% sure. But
We are live. I can confirm.
bow, 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 broom, 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 bow. I promised everyone I was gonna stop doing that, but I felt like this episode deserved it. Welcome to Paneloid's Comic Book live stream, the best place for your fix of comic book related news, rumors, leaks, reviews, and creator interviews. I'm your host Pierre, and our producer Kyle has just popped back in. We also have above him Dimitri and below me Jeremiah. Not because of any reasons. That's
I'm a
where
power
we are
bottom
on the screen. And he's canceled before the episode started. I'm very happy to introduce our very special guest. He's been very patiently waiting to talk to everyone. Our new friend and our very demure friend, Josh Blaylock. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
The chat. So everyone, please give a warm welcome. Anyone that's here, that's made it. Thank God Juan's here. I appreciate it. Thank God Juan made it. Tell the viewers who you are. And guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that follow button. Boom. Let's go. Tell them who you are, Josh.
Oh, I'm Josh Blaylock, the founder of Devil's Due Studios, the creator of a number of comic books from Mercy Sparks to the Encoded to the known for relaunching G.I. Joe and kicking off the whole 80s pop culture trend in the early 2000s. And writer, artist, publisher, been doing comic books my whole life. And the creator of the Disavowed, which is kind of one of the main reasons we're here.
Yeah.
Yes. We're here for it.
Before we get there, can you give us some great reading and watching recommendations with all the content that's out there right now? What are you watching? What are you reading?
Oh yeah, right now watching enjoying that new show Sunny, like a little sci-fi. Actually, I love all of the Apple sci-fi stuff. It's kind of like not crazy like pace, but it's like dark matter. Actually, dark matter is literally filmed in my neighborhood, so that was kind of extra fun.
Oh, really?
Like there's it's like they followed me around all day or something. That one's really cool. Then Foundation on Apple, all that sci-fi stuff. Really just enjoyed Supercell on Netflix, like a twist on a superhero story, like by the BBC. Reading, enjoying Local Man by Tim Seeley. I'm probably the most popular things to say in comic books is I'm behind on my reading, but it's true.
Aren't we all? Aren't we
yeah.
all? Seeley's been killing it with variant covers for that series as well. Like he did an homage to Deathmate, like of all things.
The other book with Fleeks started too, and I can't remember the title, with the cartoon kid. He's like half cartoon. That's really fun. Been reading Void Rivals. Actually started going over reading The Boys from like going back.
Not a fan of the book.
Recently felt it's just not like the most recent stuff, but was finally picking up the Raphael Grandpa Batman stuff, and
That's been really, really fun.
Also, I don't even read that much DC or Marvel ever, but like that in Lonely City, the collection of Lonely City by Cliff Chang, Catwoman story, that one really got me. The level of detail that went into the world building there was amazing.
The Black Label book, the oversize.
Yeah.
Great.
How deep were you in Void Rivals?
Say what?
How deep were you in Void
I think
Rivals?
I went in maybe like issue 7 or something like that.
Okay, yeah, right about the same. Yeah, what do you think?
I dig it. It feels very I know it's not Kirkman, but it feels like very much like a Kirkman-y sci-fi book, like the pace, like taking the time for the reveals, and it's just keeps moving along. It's good, you know.
Yeah, I like the nostalgia factor that they throw in there. You know, like the end of like each issue, like building the world together, like with Transformers and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I still, I'm sure there's probably been a lot more revealed since I fell behind.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's a really good book. Yeah, I guess we all have to get an Apple subscription now. Kyle?
I'm not giving you any more passwords. You're cut off.
All right.
Severance, though, on Apple. Did you watch that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's great.
Phenomenal.
I'm waiting for, I actually met at a random, like, social, some kind of corporate party thing in New York. I was at this tech conference thing, and a friend of a friend was a girl that had worked on the set design for that. So she was talking about all the stuff for the new season that they had already done, and I haven't heard anything about it.
I know it's started filming, I believe. I read. If that made sense. Yes. So I'm super excited for that. But we could talk about a bunch of other media, but there's some really cool media that you gave us a little preview of. I'd like to get into. So if you could give us the synopsis for your new book, tell us all about it, and we'll all sit here nice and quiet.
Yeah, cool.
Disavowed.
The Disavowed is the story. The Disavowed is the story of a 1980s top secret task force that isn't like the best kept secret, called the United Five, and their battle against this terrorist cult called Komodo, and all of the crazy stuff that happened back then, and how it ties into the present day, which we sort of learn about through the eyes of the son of one of the members of the U5, and it's, or as like the clean marketing line has been used, is they're using as G.I. Joe meets the boys, because the Disavowed is actually about former members of both teams, like, who decide to work together for a common mission, and that's really what it's revolves around. And it's crazy action. It is mature reader title. When we do the flashbacks, they have laser guns and this crazy weaponry that they don't have now for some reason. They just eviscerating each other, and all the villains are over the top. And then like today, things seem to be more like wrapped up, but then you find out they're still just as brutal as they ever were. And yeah, that's kind of like leads you into it.
Is this an ongoing or mini?
It's starting out as a mini series, but I mean, I definitely really want this to be ongoing. It's a whole giant landscape we can play
You got
with.
a nice universe build, yeah. Already.
Yeah, and it's we're also kind of treating it like this always existed. So outside of just the story itself, this was like a brand and a property with fandoms, and I'm even playing along that not only is it an 80s brand, it had a resurgence in the 2000s, and now it's back again, because I want to play with what I like, this nostalgia inception that we're all living in now, where, you know, I can honestly say I'm the person that kicked off the 80s retro stuff in comics, but I'm the last person that thought we would still be, you know, doing that again. That at least not. I thought something would have happened that would have evolved the characters, and they would have had a big, huge mainstream hit. But not all of them did. But here we are, top selling books at all the comic book shops again, and now we're in this like 40-year cycle. So, I want to play with that, and also it opens up other themes besides just the fun pop culture stuff, with how just these brands kind of like how these, not just about how the characters and the team literally refuses to die, but how people in power don't let go, not just politics, but in corporate life and every aspect of our society. It seems like now, like not ceding to the next generation. There's there's all kinds of fun organic themes that just sort of naturally work into the story as well.
Yeah, we can definitely see the inspiration from both G.I. Joe and the boys. Obviously, it's sick. But is there anything else that inspired this story, the nicknames, or even any of the characters themselves? Anything that you can give us?
It's yeah, I mean, the names just kind of really flowed. I mean, it's just fun. to come up with that stuff. We've got for the original core team, we've got teams led by Dane the Great. We have Blue Sky and Stormy, which is the jetpack dude and his little pet sugar glider, because you have to have an animal that has no business going into combat. There's Peaches, and the Mantis is our mysterious clad sort of ninja figure. The Wall and Chef are two big giant dudes that are sort of the heavy reinforcements. Gadzooks is an explosives expert. A whole giant team. And then the Komodo is led by Lord Anon, who started this organization as a motivational sort of wellness esoteric group, though, like kind of new agey, with sort of less Midwest small MLM thing and more like a West Coast Sedona, Arizona,
So he's a
Colorado
CrossFitter, is what you're
hippie
saying.
thing. Yeah, and at some point he started claiming he could actually channel messages from some other planet, which is a thing people really do. Like they're like, oh, I'm going into a trance and talking to the Palladians. But then they start doing crazy stuff that no one could explain. In this really builds up in the late 70s, and by the 80s, the government forms this team, the United Five, to go after them. And now for some reason they all deny any of it, most of it ever happened. And but the son of one of the members, goes up with the birth of the internet in the 90s, and he's on message boards, and the government isn't really that great at keeping all these secrets with all this new technology happening, and that's part of the fun that leads us into the present day. But it's I was talking to someone else yesterday about where I think this isn't about like just tearing down like the archetypes of something like G.I. Joe. Like I do love that stuff, but it's also, I'm not afraid to do that. So it's not, whereas like The Boys, really is probably an example of, or even some of the Mark Miller stuff is like just tearing the stuff apart. And then like Invincible or Local Man is like a real true love letter to this stuff. Probably somewhere in between. I'm that's where I land.
You're paying respect, but doing it your way.
Yeah.
There we go.
And the key, you can't. It's one thing, like anybody can take any brand, whether it's G.I. Joe or Teen Titans or whatever, Care Bears, and just be like, hey, guess what? It's rated R now. Just go nuts, extreme, But there's still things you couldn't do, even with that would not that would still make it not work. Like you can't betray what characters would do, and when you do, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. It feels too forced. Like when that Titans show, Robin's running around saying fuck all the time and stuff, like kind of forced almost. It's like, what? This is weird. But that's what you have to do, make different. Like, that's why it is its own thing. It's not just, the same characters cut out, and you have to make sure something happens I think within the first issue and second issue, where people are like, oh, okay, this really is, something different.
Yeah, I like the way it opens up. Like that's actually, like you're saying, like that 80s, 90s like vibe. Like it almost like threw me into like a Dare commercial or something, or like, like don't play with guns. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like literally like a commercial where like a kid goes in, grabs a gun. It's like, this is everything you were told not to do. And like, just that segue into what we're getting, the world. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny.
I almost wish we had more room to play that scene out more, because that, that in and of itself, I'm glad that hit you right though, because I wanted it to be like, oh, how classic of a messed up like American story is this. The kids find the gun in the closet, and what are they gonna do? They're gonna go fucking play with it in the backyard.
Yeah.
But then things go a different direction, and it's actually just an opener to the story.
Yeah, that exactly when it happens, and like you see, it's like, oh, this isn't just your typical American story, right? Like there's a lot more to what this kid just found. So yeah, that's very exciting.
So my favorite two right off the bat is Peaches and Chef. I don't know why. I just love those nicknames.
Oh, cool.
So Josh, what was it like working with Popmon on the art?
Palmon is great, man. I've never worked with him before. We just sort of we kind of connected online over the pandemic, started talking to each other the first time, and a couple years ago, a little over a year ago at least, I pitched this to him is that I was looking for someone, and he had kind of left comics for a couple years because he just wasn't happy with the projects he was getting assigned, and he had other opportunities. So this really struck a chord with him. Like this was something different where he could stretch his muscles and kind of remind people like he's a badass. Those are my words. He doesn't go around calling himself that.
Love that.
What I know. Yeah, no, he's taking all my designs, and I really am the person who knows the like that. It's got to be the perfect 80s vibe. It's got to have the right tone, feel like, oh, these could have been the cartoon or the toys he played with, but at the same time it works for the story. And so probably drive him crazy sometimes having him go back and tweak the designs if something's left out. But that it's just been great so far. I just got another new page today, which you'll like it because Chef is in it fucking shit up.
Nice.
I think the thing I like the most is just the energy. These are like really kinetic pages, whether it's people or even like really, I was saying I'm really impressed how he does the vehicles too. Just really makes it, you feel like they're really just moving through the page.
Yeah, no, I would
That's very cool.
say from Spy Boy, that's a big part of why I spend so much in the comic shop. Like that was probably my first, like, I was looking for the next issue, you know?
You're
So,
such a
like,
mark.
Dude, it's so funny, man, because he drew that so long ago. I think he's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh god, not that art. But
No.
I loved that when that came out.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, it's a little skater girl, low rise.
I love
It's
it.
probably
I love
just
that
like,
look.
yeah, and it was like, this is like the kind of character I would design. And it was such a contrast to all of like the skin tight, like,
Yeah.
bad girl comic characters or whatever. You had this little punk rock baggy pants, character well, I'm talking about the sidekick. I don't remember the story well enough.
Oh
I
no,
have to
me
go
neither.
back and read those. I don't even remember why he was Spy Boy.
I remember the bike. I remember the look. I remember the girl. That's it.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
It
Yeah,
had-
no,
it had
it's
a-
great
and again,
combo.
that was great energy to the art, which is probably what really grabbed us.
Yeah, no, it definitely fits. I mean, it's such a fun book. I mean, I can't praise it enough. Like it's just so fun, like in perfect pairing for real. But as far as like the art, let's go a little more. So I know there's like a backer kit special edition, and is there any variants? Anything you could tell us about that? Like what people should be looking to start getting ready to buy?
Yeah, so there's going to be more covers and stuff. Right now I'm waiting on Massive for a lot because they're supposed to be working on helping out with some other cover talent and tidying up some things on that end. But right from the jump, I just called up the homies that I worked with on all the G.I. Joe stuff and other books. So we've got Tim Seeley did an homage to the J. Scott Campbell Joe cover as a sort of fun parody cover. Dave Johnson did an awesome cover featuring Lord Anon, the main villain leader. Michael Golden did a cover for me.
Going with
And,
old Joe's.
Yeah. He did one cover for us back in the day. It was the last issue we ever did, and he had to change everything from the sketch because they censored everything. So I called him up. Hey, talk to his agent. Do you want to do a cover for this? And we ended up, it's not as crazy as the one back because he's a lot harder to get to do stuff now. But it's really, really awesome to have him on board. And another guy who's really popular in that community, Adam Riches, did an awesome cover, which might be pushed back to like an issue 3 cover. It's a really cool painted image though. And Steve Kurth, who drew the original Joe series for me, did this awesome double page spread of just both teams coming at each other, like a very classic giant comic book battle scene, and we're looking for more. I think some Michael Calero or some people on the Massive side are actually going to get involved themselves. So I might do something. I do draw, yeah. So we don't have an exact release date yet, but you can follow along on the Backer Kit page. There's a pre-launch page, and I think we're going to be moving it over to Kickstarter. Just we have a bigger audience there, but we really love Backer Kit and using that as a fulfillment solution and part of the promotional capability they have with the way you can like email people from the back end without annoying them. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of both. I'd say go there, but also just go to devilsdustudios.com. There's a link that pops up right away, or an email list you can sign up for. I have a Facebook group that we started. It's the Disavowed comic fan group. And just make sure you find the one that has all the graphics and stuff on it. That's a place where I'm posting stuff, and really engaging with a lot with the toy community there too. So again, like that's where we're treating this like it's sort of already existed. And anyone who's seen the ash can from San Diego Comic-Con also saw the public service announcement we have in the back, which is straight up satire, like of those from back in the day. And the letter column is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that you're having fun with it. Like, I feel like it's an experience.
I mean, everything is sort of like this meets that. Like everyone like literally tries to. Sometimes they force it, but when it comes to these deconstructions / satire kind of things, the sort of the cheat code or the hack to it is you don't have to explain the background of every single character. You kind of know right away. Oh yeah, that's basically like supposed to be the Batman guy. That's supposed to sort of be like Sherlock Holmes or whatever. You get it right away, and then that's kind of what's extra fun here is that no one's ever done that much with these archetypes. J. Scott Campbell did it a little bit with Danger Girl. Some of the villains they went up against, but not quite so directly, and it was a long time ago.
I think about 20
I like
years.
mystery boxes. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I like mystery boxes, so bring those along with you.
Oh yeah.
So you might have addressed this. You might have addressed this earlier, but what are you most excited for readers to experience with the Disavowed?
I hope they really just love it, have a good time, and that it appeals not only to the. I hope from like the old heads that have been following this stuff forever. There's all these fun deep cut references that they get, but a newer audience can like pick it up, and when they see the flashbacks, it's just more of like a vibe, and it's like almost like hearing some crazy story your grandpa told that should have never even happened, or he probably shouldn't even be telling you. But then it comes into the present day, and they really enjoy the clash between the two. And then that they, if they choose to, they can engage with the whole community outside of it. It's kind of playing along with that this existed before. And I think also, there's so much like now with G.I. Joe back and Transformers and all that, there's so much coming out so fast, and there's so many things to collect and all this. It'd be nice if this is sort of like a fun little, like easy read that, you kind of get that same kick out of it. And it's actually a little crazier because there's going to be stuff in here that happens we can never do in those books. But you're also, don't feel the stress of having to keep up with everything.
Slower pace
until
sometimes
everyone
is
helps
good.
make it successful, and then it blows
Yeah.
up, and then we can make too much shit for people to keep up with.
I love it. I
You
think that's the best way to describe it, is like that you can just add it to your pile. You pick up your Transformers, your G.I. Joe, Disavowed, and you go off, you frolic into the park or wherever you want to read your books, and you just read them, and you go for a fun trip because
And-
this book is fun.
So you were discussing like earlier on that this is basically done in 3 parts. You've got the flashbacks to the original team, you've got the 90s with the revival, and then you got present day. What kind of research did you do? Obviously, you lived through a bunch of this stuff and you had a lot of like hands-on with the whole revival that happened in comics, but what kind of research did you do specifically for the Disavowed and all those time jumps?
Research comes more along the lines of when it comes to referencing anything, I don't have to research anything because anything I don't know, I'm making it's not a copy of it anyway. Exactly, I'm making it up. So
Fair enough.
the research is more like, okay, the kid finds a gun in 1997 that his dad had in 1989, which means that dad probably got it issued in like 1986. What gun would that be? What sidearm was popular for the military to have? Like that's the kind of stuff that
Okay.
I'll be digging into, or like what kind of vehicle, what was the most common SUV style, military transport vehicle, which I will say, after having written a lot of this stuff back in the day when we had a military consultant on hand and we had Google and everything else, that's where ChatGPT is a game changer.
Oh
you can
no.
just be like, without writing the story, but you can ask it for reference, and you don't get distracted by all the ads trying to send you to like look at other things, and you don't find
Fair
yourself
enough.
on Facebook looking at a dog grooming video or something like tips or something, like when you were trying to look up I don't know, something about a jet engine, like just weird rabbit holes. It's that's been handy for reference, but then you have to go back and check it to make sure it's not wrong, because it also sometimes just spits out like lies. And yeah, that, and then just really the like, not, this isn't research, but putting together the timeline and working with a really great, so my letterer on the book is actually also my story editor. He's a great story editor. He also works with like Charles Soule and other creators. He's actually a screenwriter too. He had me really push me to put this timeline together. So I got it starting in like 1972, going all the way to the present. Because I really got a lot of ideas on this cult and how it's so absurd that what the characters are like. But if I could find a way to like actually have it start out a little more grounded and get wacky, I'd love to do that.
Can you show us the whiteboard?
It's all scribbled notes and jotted down madness on a screen.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I need my
triple
Charlie
fold
Day,
out.
my Charlie Day graph with all the strings and everything. Yeah. Actually, if I flip over Deathstroke,
the
If you did that though, that would have been amazing.
Oh man,
it's no lack of ideas. It's more like you keep coming up with ideas for each character and their background, so what we can do, and then you have to say, not worry about if that happens or not. You've got to find who the story is really about, and who's the entry point into the world that takes the reader through. And what's cool about this is it sort of happened organically with this character Matthew. Like I wasn't really planning on him to be that character at first. He was just sort of like this cool setup for it, and it ended up sort of coming back and the story telling me like, no, it's about this. And then this is where it's so great to have this other element though to it, where we're just like, yeah, this was also a thing everybody enjoyed back in the day, and I could put characters, like we could even literally say like, hey, who remembers this guy, but even though it never was a thing, and have fun with it, and we can put a little blurb about their background, and see who people resonate with, and then they might, if people love someone, then we'll put it into the story too.
I hope at some point there's a Jeep that transforms into something else, that transforms into something else, that may transform into something else. Like I really hope
there's no reason we
really
can't
push it. Yeah, like just push the envelope, go crazy, just have fun.
You're not in a sandbox, you're in a desert, and you can do whatever you want with it. So
exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
There's no reason not doing that right away, but there's no reason a giant robot couldn't come down from the sky.
It needs to. It needs to. And name it Pierre. I keep pushing my name in these books. I really hope that somewhere along the line there's a robot named Pierre that comes out of the sky. You heard it here first, folks. Guys, the Disavowed just got picked up by a studio. I guess, Josh, you tell us. Can you fan cast any of the characters for us? Like, maybe you had some inspiration from
I
people
saw that
already.
question and like sort of little like the little like warnings about some of the things questions that might pop up, and I'm like, man, I have not thought about that at all. I have no idea. Like, I seriously, man, I was like,
So give us your 80s cast. Like if it was in the 80s with 80s actors.
That's harder. Why would you make it harder?
Yeah, let's make it easier. Let's make it very specific.
yeah.
I can tell Jeremiah has one that he's just waiting.
Allison
have
to
Brie as
circle back on it.
Peaches. Allison Brie as Peaches. That'd be dope.
You knew Kyle that he had one. Like,
He always
there
has
you
one.
go. There has to be. I feel like there's always a Mr. T in this. Like, it has to be Mr. T somewhere in this, you know, or like Mike Tyson. Like, throw one of them in there. Like, there has to be a spot for one of them.
I mean, we'd probably, so, you know, I was raised on a healthy diet of 80s VHS action movies that are totally inappropriate for me to be watching when I was a kid. Probably a lot of that. Probably throwing some Jean-Claude Van Damme and some Carl Weathers and Brian Bosworth and Dolph
There you
Lundgren and
The
Basically-
Mantis as
basically
Jean-Claude
take the
Van Damme.
Expendables and then put them in there.
Yeah. You can see where your inspiration came from.
Oh, I totally. Me and my cousin would watch the most inappropriate rated like action movies that we would get at the video store, and that was our weekend. And it's like everyone was like, just, you know, they were trying to make the bullet hit the most gory way possible, and there was always ninjas around, you know.
I thought
and
ninjas
then-
was going to be a bigger problem when I was younger.
Oh yeah, man. Oh man, American Ninja. There was always Ninja 3: The Domination, but no one ever knew what were 1 and 2, where it just was called Ninja 3. And then and there was always boobs. Everyone, they had to have boobs in it somewhere.
At least
And
one
we're like-
topless scene. It was required.
Oh, yeah. We're like 8 years old watching these, and we're like, but we're also like, get the who cares?
Are you saying we're getting a topless scene in this book?
I mean, this is not a kid's book, so there's gonna be some.
Josh, are you telling
debauchery.
me we're getting some topless in this book?
You might see the Mantis without his shirt.
Oh my god, you heard it here first, folks.
All right. So this is basically my brain. Can you tell us about what's going on with Devil's Due and Massive and why you decided to team up with Massive for this?
I mean, I've been publishing for like even before Devil's Due. As a kid, I was publishing black and white stuff. So it's been over 25 years, and I primarily am only publishing my own books anyway right now. We did a lot of licensed stuff for several years. We did a lot of creator-owned books for another like string of several years, and I really, coming out of COVID, the way the industry's changed, the way the distribution has changed, the way crowdfunding is growing, and I've been doing crowdfunding since 2012 anyway. I really am working towards partnering up as a studio with other publishers, which, funny enough, is actually how we started. We very first started as a studio with going through Image Comics, and that's kind of what I really just like to do. I've got a lot of opportunities as a creator now to just do more conventions myself as a creator, as a guest, and it's the game when publishing is just so much different now. And a lot of the stuff we actually pioneered, but if you want to be a publisher now, I mean, you have to do a whole mix of things. You have to have some creator-owned books. You have to have licensed stuff. You have to really be able to play a really long game with the backlist, with all your graphic novels and collections. And I mean, you really need funding with a lot of money, and then you're in that game forever. And every month you're trying to chase what the sales are going to be. You're trying, you're and you're trying to chase the Hollywood thing and all that. You know, I've had, I don't know, man, like 15, 20 movie deals. You know, never had anything hit the screen, but we've had the deals. And we literally just set up a TV show with Paramount a couple weeks ago, like that finally closed after 6 months. And then now I guess it's moving to CBS because Paramount closed. I had something with MGM that just expired. Now we're like, that's Mercy Sparks. We're taking that back out. So, you know, we've got that stuff going on, and it seems to happen whether or not, whether we're really pushing it or not. So I'm going to keep developing things for Hollywood on the side, with the focus still on the comic books for the sake of comic books. And that was sort of a long answer of sort of like why things are just different. This is what I want to do. You know, I'm in my 40s, and when I kind of do a new plan where I can build on for the next 20 years. And with that being said, I really liked how Massive was approaching everything. Yeah, they were a brand new company. I liked how they started completely differently with partnering with Whatnot. And then they were smart enough to, at the beginning, to be, you know, to check their own ego and say, well, no one even knows who we are. We're just going to go with the Whatnot branding, you know, at first. And that allowed them to sell a ton of comic books. Then they pivoted back into their own name. And they're just doing things a lot differently. They got the great placement in the Diamond catalog early on, which was kind of unheard of. And
Are you a
part.
wrestling fan at all? Because that's another aspect of it as well.
Yeah, you know, I don't know shit about wrestling really, but I do appreciate, like, I saw that they're doing the Luchador comics, and yeah, that's just another cool thing. Thinking outside
80s
the box.
nostalgia that is now back to being popular. Full circle.
Totally.
We're going full circle.
Yeah. So yeah, and then some of the marketing stuff they pitched to me, you know, was really good. They originally approached me about a kind of a different deal, which I don't know if I can get into or not, but I threw a bunch of questions at them because it was very similar to a business plan I had already written about 10 years before that. In every answer they came to me with, or every suggestion, was something I had already thought through too, and they came to the same conclusions. So I was like, okay, this right away, without even having to have a conversation, I know that these people think like I do, and they're approaching things kind of the same way. And then from there, they pitched some marketing stuff for the Disavowed that I really liked, and now we're moving forward. So hopefully, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where that's at. So I'm looking at you know, some other publishers possibly to take other books too, but I'm not in any hurry. I am trying to have my cake and eat it too. I you know, I don't want to lose my autonomy. It's weird when you know every aspect of publishing and what they have to do and what they're going through. You can be like the best creator to work with ever because you have an appreciation that no one will ever have who hasn't gone through all that.
Not only do you know how the sausage gets made, but you know how the cow gets bred and the building gets built and all of that. So
yeah, and it's a double-edged sword because you also know, like, hey, you didn't clean that cow properly or whatever. you know, and then they're like, most people didn't even know there was a cow. But yeah, it's but you have to like let people do their jobs. So, you know, you have to step aside a little bit too, and that's but hey, I'm if I can get the right deals in place and have, you know, multiple projects going on with different companies at the same time, and find the right homes, I'm more than happy to do that.
I feel like you might have answered my next question, but I'm going to probe just a little bit more. Any other projects that you'd like to mention or maybe hint at that you're working on? Sure.
Yeah, we just teased out a project, which is actually a pretty new idea. I did a really small ash can thing on the backer kit because they invited us. It's called Circuits Seduction Revenge, which is intentionally very pulpy name. It's about it's a sex bot in like the year 2045 that is inside of sort of like a future Jeffrey Epstein kind of guy's building, and it's like the rich use these like synth brothels because it's the only way they can protect privacy.
Synth brothel. Let's go.
And they use their like their deviant sexual proclivities. Like there's privacy laws people have now, and it's like the only way you can like hide anything. So the wealthy use these, and they sort of build a whole system around that to do the nefarious people do their shady shit that way. So some girl dies, turns out her sister is like this brilliant computer engineer who just hacks the system and activates one of these things to go kill everybody in the building. It's like Ex Machina turns John Wick, and it's just a murder fest. So that one is something I'm working on now. Probably won't be scheduled for a few more months. Then my main series that's been going on the longest for 15 years now is Mercy Sparks. It comes out intermittently. There'll be a one shot or there'll be a mini series. There has been 14 issues of an ongoing series. She's a devil girl that works for Heaven, hunting rogue angels. So Mercy Sparks does Heaven's dirty work. If you like stuff like Hellboy and Preacher, Jessica Jones, the show more than the comic, the Constantine, all that stuff, a little dash of Bad Santa, because she acts way more like him than those characters. She's stuck on Earth, disguised as a human, doing their dirty work. You'll vibe with that. It's there's like 2 big omnibus collections that collect everything ever published except for the brand new issue that came out. And there's a spin-off coming out called Club Nephilim, which is a subplot that runs through many of those issues, about like sort of a supernatural Illuminati black market / brothel / collector den where you can get, you can access for different things. And Pat Shand is joining me on that as the writer. He's written I've written all the Mercy Sparks myself, except for 2 issues that Pat worked with me on. And now he's going to actually take on full reins writing Club Nephilim.
He's great. Destiny USA. Well, is it Destiny USA
Destiny
or
NY?
Destiny NY? That's it.
Yeah.
I always, because I live in Syracuse, so like Destiny Mall, and I don't want to say Destiny NY thinking that it's right there. But yeah, also his Robin Hood run was amazing with Xenoscope. So yeah, he's a great writer.
We did. So I published a mini series he did called Little Girl, and it was about a ghost who is basically trying to take vengeance on her own killer, like this little kid. And it dealt with a sort of an extremist Christian cult sect, and it was really, really good. Kind of flew under the radar, but we came this close to having a movie.
Wow. Okay. So we talked a little bit before we went live because we were experiencing technical difficulties. Tell us what's on the wall. Everything behind you is gorgeous. So I want you to dive into that a little bit.
All right. Well, this would be my Disavowed teaser poster. So this has followed me everywhere I've been since 9th grade, which is funny because I'm like an anti-hoarder. I have to force myself to keep things. I'm the worst collector ever, but that somehow has survived everywhere. And I love Mike Zeck, and I'll always love that's always gonna be Deathstroke to me.
I love how it's been with you since 9th grade, and looks like it's in like a chinky frame.
Yeah, I have that, and I have the art table that my parents bought me in 9th grade. It's funny. I'm kind of like use this almost like kids art table now. It's newer, and at home this big gigantic old drafting table. It's all chipped and stuff. This was El Hombre Murcielago. This is by my friend Cesar Perez. He does these really cool acrylic layered. He actually is a pretty famous mural artist, but he does these things for galleries.
That is very cool.
And
I have to look into Cesar Perez.
I'll fix that in post. All right. This was I don't have a lot of original art either, but this was by Kevin Eastman did that for me. We were stuck next to each other at a very boring book expo in like 2004. And he just
Wow.
he sat there for like 45 minutes drawing that.
I'm glad it was boring.
I know, hell yeah, it worked out for me. I think I bought him a beer and he gave that to me. So this is what a picture. This was like cover to my sketchbook that I did a long time ago. Just some excuse to draw a cool little punk rock chick.
That's cool. Should make that a cover or something.
And let's see. This is
Cover.
Oh, is that what he said? I
Yeah.
missed it.
I'm trying to get
I
better.
was looking at the
sorry.
art.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm trying to get better about collecting like any of the toys made from characters I made. So like, because I really don't have hardly any. This is Zanya. She's Zartan's daughter from GI Joe. They made
That's
one
gotta
toy
be
for-
cool to like create
Yeah.
something in your head, attach it to this universe that is well loved, and then it manifests in physical form.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot cooler if they sent them to me, and I'd have to buy them. But yes, it's very cool. The guy that's the most popular would be Kamakura, Snake Eyes' apprentice. He's been made into like, I don't know, like 20 different toys. Yeah, I've got a few of those. But that one, the classified line, they took it straight from the comic book. So I mean, I designed all of that character from scratch. So it was really cool to see it like just lifted off the page. So
That's
that's
awesome.
most of the stuff.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now that we've made you take down half of your wall.
Yeah.
All right, so let's begin to wrap this up here. Let's do like a final plug. If you have release dates, FOCs, anything date-wise that we need to know.
Yeah, the
remember.
date. Right now we're just like saying, please follow the page, follow the Backer Kid page, sign up for the email list, follow me on socials, and just so we can build up as many people ready for us to announce, so that the launch is as big as possible. And I want to try to keep entertaining and people and sharing stuff along the way to build up anticipation. And yeah, so I'm Blaylock Comics on Instagram. I'm Devil's Due Studios, or then obviously massivepublishing.com. And there's a Disavowed comic fan group on Facebook, where a lot of the toy community is gathering, and that's Twitter. I'm also Josh Blaylock on Twitter.
All right.
Stalk me. Also, I'll be hitting Tucson Comic Con at the end of the month, August 31st, September 1st and 2nd, and then there we go. Yeah, I'll be doing Tucson, and then hopefully squeezing in another show
Baltimore.
this winter. And there's an
Baltimore.
international show I'm doing that I don't think I can say yet because they haven't announced it yet, but I'm excited about that one.
You got to do Baltimore,
dude. I saw Mark Nathan like last week. He tell him to invite me to the show. I need to be a guest.
Okay. All right.
They want me to pay up. They want me to pay up as a publisher. They don't want to invite me.
Well, last year they had Mad Cave, and that was it. Like they had Tomorrow's, but Tomorrow's is always there. So
well, the man, I love that show. But the magic of that show was they had the Diamond Summit, so every publisher already had to be at the summit anyway. And then that's not happening anymore. So
because they
now
moved it to fucking Chicago. Well, Grow, you love Chicago, so I can't say anything bad about Chicago.
Dude, they don't. No, the publishers don't come to C2E2 either. It's like that. I think that show is already so expensive for them. But yeah, it just the Baltimore was just the perfect scenario because
it used to be one of the great. Yeah. It's still a great show. Go to Baltimore. It's a great show. Pierre's following you on Instagram, it appears. Yeah, but you said Tucson, and then you got another one that you're hoping to hit.
I don't think I can say yet. I don't think.
But no, like you're trying to fit another one in the winter.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to do GalaxyCon in the winter and like just the very end of the year. Okay. But that they haven't. We're still trying to work that out.
All right. Well, we're gonna let you get back to work.
All right.
Thank you so much. I can't say enough. It's just such a bright, vibrant, fun like story. Like it's just like it's like a palate cleanser, just something refreshing.
Hell yeah.
A bloody pile.
Did you guys
Yes.
see the whole issue, or did you see the ash can?
We saw the ash can.
We only got
Okay.
so I will be emailing you daily requesting
email
full issue.
email the press at Massive, not me.
All right, we'll see
Cool.
if they don't.
I've
answer
already
quick
given
enough.
the green light. I was like, share it when you feel it's okay.
I want the rest of the issue though. But thank you again. We'll definitely have to talk to you in the future about some synthetic stuff.
It gets weird, man.
It sounds weird.
The future is gonna be really weird.
I want to read what you think about it because it's probably going to come true.
I actually do a thing where like they dial it back and they make them less lifelike looking, because I'm gonna say like, oh yeah, in the 2030s there was like an uncanny valley thing where they got too real and it just bothered everybody.
That's
The next time I see you, I want you to be doing a press conference looking like Steve Jobs and talking about synth droids.
I was
like,
like, where are you going with this, Pierre? Like,
this is our prototype synth number 1, and this is number 2. Yeah, this is where I want to see your future.
it's just gonna be a robot with a flashlight attached to it.
And that's the note we are going to end on. Thank you
All right,
again.
yeah, on that.
All right.
I think that's a wrap.
Highlights comic book live stream, everybody.